Hey, what's up, y'all? Matt and Mixes on the mic, and today I'm going to be ranking the last 10 Christmas Day matchups. So at number 10, we have the 2023 matchup between the Dallas Mavericks and the Phoenix Suns. So this was an excellent game for Luka Doncic. He scored over 50 points and had 15 assists, but he wasn't alone out there. Derek Lively, he had a double-double. So very impressive by him. And the Suns, they didn't really get a lot of production from their stars. KD struggled. Booker struggled. They got a lot of production from their role players, though. Grayson Allen, he had 8 threes. And Metu, he had 19 rebounds, which is just absolutely insane. But yeah, the map, even with the Suns having role players stepping up without their stars, it wasn't really going to mean much. Mavericks won. So now we have the number 9 ranked matchup, which is another 2023 matchup. This is between the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Celtics, they ended up winning this game. They were on a West Coast streak, playing 4 straight games out west, and they went 3-1 in that time, including this win on Christmas. So the Celtics, they got a lot of production from Kristaps Porzingis. He had a dominant game. But Tatum, he didn't necessarily have the most impressive scoring outing, but he did find ways to contribute all around. 8 rebounds, 7 assists, or maybe the other way around. I can't quite remember. And as for the Lakers, AD absolutely put the team on his back. But Taurean Prince, he helped a little bit. He had 5 threes. It's pretty good. But I think notably LeBron just didn't have it today on that day. And that really did, make a difference. Before they got Luka, no LeBron good equals, not winning. So, it doesn't matter how good AD plays. Doesn't matter if you have a role player like Taurean Prince step up. It was hard for them to win without LeBron. So this is going to be the number 8 ranked matchup. It's the first 2024 matchup on this list. And it's between the Phoenix Suns and Nuggets. The Suns ended up winning. They won based on a very dominant perimeter attack. Bradley Beal had one of his best games as a Phoenix Sun with 27 points. Tyus Jones also contributed with 17 points. For the Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, he did his usual thing. It's, rare for him to ever have, a bad game. And Michael Porter Jr. did very well. But what really cost the Nuggets was Jamal Murray. Not only did he not do anything on offense, but on defense he was getting absolutely cooked by the Suns' perimeter attack. KD, he really didn't end up doing much in this game, but the Suns with other players stepping up, they were able to win this game. And then as for for Booker, he was hurt, so no Booker. So this is the number 7 ranked matchup. It's a 2023 matchup between the Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks. The Knicks got the best of this matchup, winning by 7 points. So this was a game where basically every single star in attendance ended up playing very well. Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, he had 38 points, which led all scorers. Julius Randle had 24 points. Giannis Antetokounmpo also had 24 points, and Damian Lillard had 32 points. So I think if you're a really big fan of star play, this is one of the best games you could have ended up watching on Christmas. It's just every single star ended up showing up big on Madison Square Garden, arguably the biggest regular season venue you could play in the NBA. And this was really the Knicks' true return to dominance in the 2024 season. I mean, they made the playoff season before, and they were proving that they were no fluke. And this was a big win. The Bucks, they were the favorites. So this is going to be the number 6 ranked matchup. It's a 2023 matchup. It's between the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers. So the Heat ended up winning this game by 6. Jaime Jaquez, who you're seeing clips of right now, he had definitely at that point the best game of his career, as he had 31 points. Bam Adebayo scored somewhere in the 20s. And both of them ended up having double-doubles. And then for the Sixers, they had Tobias Harris and Kelly Oubre. They definitely stepped up the scoring. Joel Embiid did not end up playing this game, which really does, make a difference, particularly with this Sixers team. They were very built around the production of Joel Embiid, and without him, it was going to be very difficult to win against a Heat team that still, was very competitive in the Eastern Conference in 2024. Tyrese Maxey, he did play. He just did not end up contributing much. This was really his first year as a star, so this is going to be the number 5 ranked matchup. It's a 2024 matchup between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Dallas Mavericks. Of course, this is a rematch of the 2024 Western Conference Finals. But this time, the Timberwolves got the best of the matchup. Anthony Edwards, he scored 26. Julius Randle, he scored 23. This was Randle's first Christmas game as a Minnesota Timberwolf. He had been traded in the offseason. And for the Mavericks, Luka was playing very well, but he had to leave early due to injury, and it ended up being one of his last games as a Dallas Maverick, which this time last year, no one would have thought Luka would have been traded, but here we are. And Kyrie, he dropped 39 in Luka's absence, but it ultimately wasn't enough because the Timberwolves, they had the star duo of Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle, both with a lot of production, and Kyrie, he just cannot match that alone. That's impossible for almost any star to just be able to match that kind of production alone. So this is going to be the number 4 ranked matchup. It's a 2023 matchup between the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors. So for the Nuggets, they ended up winning by 6 points, and they got production from their 2 and 3 guys. Jamal Murray, he scored 28 points. Michael Porter Jr., 19, just under 20. Nikola Jokic, he did not have a very efficient game, but as you guys know, he's able to impact the game in other ways. He can pass, he can rebound, he can screen. So it's not like he had a bad overall game, but just scoring-wise, not very good. And as for the Warriors, they did not get much production from their starting 5. Curry, he's usually not good on Christmas anyway, so that's not too much of a surprise, I guess. They had to get their production off the bench. Andrew Wiggins, who had recently been benched, ended up having a very good game, and Dario Saric as well. So if you were paying attention, you would know that the final 3 matchups are bound to be 2024 matchups, and this is the number 3 ranked matchup. It was between the Philadelphia Sixers and the Boston Celtics. This was one of the few times the Sixers were really healthy last season, and they played very well. Tyrese Maxey, he scored 33. Joel Embiid, he scored 27. But the Celtics, they got good production from the Jays, their star duo, to counteract the other team's star duo. Tatum even scored 32, but ultimately the Sixers star duo, when they're healthy, they were completely I don't want to say completely unstoppable, but very unstoppable. Of course, Embiid, a lot has changed for him in the past year. He's just a guy who just cannot stay on the court, and it feels like on defense, it's not that he's not trying, he just doesn't have the burst anymore to contribute. This 2024 matchup was between the New York Knicks and San Antonio Spurs. So Mikal Bridges, he had probably his best game as a New York Knicks, scoring 41 points. And Karl Anthony Towns, it was a very good Christmas game for him as well, with 21 points and 9 rebounds. And of course, this was his first Christmas Day game with the New York Knicks, so he had to make a very good impression. And as for the Spurs, Wemby, on his Christmas debut, scored 42, and he even had some help. Jeremy Sohan, he scored 21, and it wasn't his usual inefficiency. He shot 8 of 10 from the field, so that's very good. But ultimately, the Knicks just had more talent, and Brunson, even though he struggled, it didn't hurt the Knicks. They had got production from other places, and the Knicks were able to show off depth that I think sometimes gets underrated because of how Tom Thibodeau was running that offense. And now we've reached the number 1, the best matchup of the past 10 Christmas Day games, the 2024 matchup between the Lakers and the Warriors. The Lakers won by just 2 points. LeBron James led the way with 31 points. Rui Hachimura shot 5 of 7 from 3. For the Warriors, Curry might have legitimately had his best Christmas Day game ever, and Andrew Wiggins, he made lots of contributions. And this was one of the last times we saw that Curry and Andrew Wiggins game on prime time, because just a couple months later, Andrew Wiggins was traded to the Miami Heat for Jimmy Butler. And of course, the Lakers, they were playing without AD. And little did we know, in a couple months, that would become even more common than it already was, because he would be traded to the Mavericks. So this was a game of two teams that were about to face some rapid changes. But for now, Austin Reeves, game winner.